Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Philly Sports Talk. We are live. It's Tuesday, April 13th. And as we come on the air, we just watched the Phillies blow a eighth inning. I'm sorry, usually a ninth inning, but today was the eighth inning. They blew another a 3-2 lead behind our exceptional closer, Hector Neris. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing all right, Bobby. After that introduction, now I think I'm feeling a little bit worse. And I want to thank everyone for joining us here. And you are listening to Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I've just had enough with Hector Neris, and I can't understand why he's the closer.
Well, he's the closer by, I think, default because somebody didn't do their job and get a closer this offseason. We were too worried about re-signing JT and DD that we didn't go out and get a closer. We got everything else in the bullpen, but not somebody who can close a game, which is the most important part of a bullpen.
Yeah, but the problem with Hector Neris is you have a guy who is essentially a one-pitch pitcher. And if that pitch isn't working well for him, or if batters are patient enough, you can beat Hector Neris.
A one-pitch pitcher that anybody with the talent to hit a baseball knows what to do against. That's your closer, Joe Girardi? That's your guy you want out protecting your job as a manager of a Major League Baseball team? Not me. If I'm the manager, he's not closing a game. He might be a long relief guy, a seventh inning guy in a 7-2 game.
Yeah, or if you can get to yourself to a part in the lineup where you may have a situation where there's a couple right-handers coming up with a left-hander mixed in because you got to get three batters out, you might give him a try. But if he's not on, or if it's a situation where batters are going to be patient with him, Hector Neris is going to have base runners, and if a ball finds a hole, those base runners are going to score, just like we witnessed here in this last game. And it's just one of those. It's just frustrating. And it was one of those things to where why was he re-signed with the Phillies? I mean, that's another question like you would have with Vince Velasquez as well. And Philadelphia just keeps putting these guys out there, and they keep losing games. So
yeah. And you know what the other problem is? They don't have a farm system that they could go get a closer from.
No, they really don't have a farm system that they could have. That at some point, you're right, that they could make a trade to get a decent closer. And the other thing too is there's not too many pitchers coming up through that farm system. When you look at it now, I guess the top two pitchers that the Phillies do have in their farm system are starting pitchers, and that's Adonis Medina and Spencer Howard. Adonis Medina is probably not ready for the major leagues, and Spencer Howard was up last year and struggled so much that now you're looking at Matt Moore and Chase Anderson as your 4 and 5 starters. And look, I mean, they had a 7-inning game here due to the rain out yesterday, and as much as I've watched baseball, I've had enough of this 7-inning stuff too. I mean, I say that being a Phillies fan because the Phillies are not very good in 7-inning games, but 7-inning games that's for men's rec league, like for an over 40 rec league or softball.
Yeah, or a little league.
Let's get back to playing baseball here. And if these guys are having a problem playing a doubleheader and both of them being 9 innings, then I don't know what to say. They're making enough money. They're professional athletes. Go out there and play the 9 innings. I mean, they've done it since baseball started back in the 1800s. I don't know why it's got to change now.
It doesn't have to change. Hopefully, this is the last year for it. I can't see that this is something that's going to stay on. It doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. And it's one of those things that's it's frustrating to watch it when you see situations that we saw earlier and last year with these 7-inning games with the Phillies. I mean, my goodness, last year we saw the Phillies get 7 runs in the second game of a doubleheader, 7 runs in the first inning, and they ended up losing that game in a 7-inning game.
Yeah, that was Toronto.
Vince Velasquez. So Vince Velasquez gets re-signed.
Yeah, that was a Toronto game in Buffalo, right?
Yep, that was a Toronto game in Buffalo. They lost game 1, came back, started game 2, got 7 runs in the first inning, and I think they ended up losing that game.
8-7, yeah.
Yeah.
So I wasn't going to lead the show with Hector Neris. I was going to lead the show with my other favorite Philly, Roman Quinn. He he had an interesting sequence. He I think it was the fifth or sixth inning. He thought he was hit on his foot with the pitch, and he started to run to first, and Cowboy Joe West said, "Come on back," and the Phillies challenged it. It turns out it didn't hit his foot. So how do you let a team waste a challenge if you know the ball didn't hit you? So
This is Roman Quinn.
Yeah.
He may actually have thought that ball did hit.
Yeah. So he went on the walk anyway. He ends up at second. He goes to steal third. He's safe, but he overslides the bag and gets tagged out to end the inning. Yeah.
Well, that's another one of those things too, to where we talked about this last week too, and the center field situation with the Phillies is something that needs to be addressed and fixed immediately if this team's going to have any chance. Even though from what I've seen so far, the 5-1 start was nice, but they're looking at going 1-5 or 1-6 here coming up on this road trip. I guess they've had a 7-game road trip, so 1-6 is something that they might be looking at going on this road trip. I mean, they got Aaron Nola in the second game, but I have no confidence in Aaron Nola to do anything other than what we saw in his last start, where against the Mets he only made it through 4 innings, I believe.
Yeah, he struggled. He labored the whole game.
Yeah, and he did actually make a good pitch in that game to get a strikeout with the bases loaded to end the inning. But he was up close to 100 pitches after 4 innings, and it was just a situation to where he had to come out. And you would see, I guess that's the other thing that's kind of frustrating when I look at these 7-inning games. Okay, well, you have a guy like Aaron Nola, 7 innings. I mean, you should be able to think, okay, he's going to go out there and give us 7 innings, and we're going to win this game. But at this point, the Phillies don't have a starter who you can rely on.
Except for Zach Wheeler.
Well, he struggled in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things, because I would guess, and last year they did have more scheduled doubleheaders with 7 innings. But like if you had somebody where you have Kershaw pitching or one of the top of the line rotation guys, 7 innings, I mean that can definitely save your bullpen.
Yeah,
then you don't have a blown save like we just saw.
Yeah, does that still count as a complete game? A 7 inning? I guess it does.
Yeah,
you know what else is interesting? That the run that the first when you give up the base runner and extra innings on second, that's not an earned run.
No.
Yeah.
So that's another thing too. I just came back before we got on the show here tonight, and I do some umpiring for some Little League Baseball, and that's what they do when they go to extra innings. They put runners on base. It's not Major League Baseball.
Have they always done that, or they just started it because Major Leagues did it?
No, they've always done that.
So basically, Rob Manfred, the commissioner, adopted a Little League rule.
Yeah, and it's understandable in Little League, especially when you're playing weeknight games. You're playing on fields where it's actually going to get dark, but that's not a problem.
Right. Yeah, they have lights. Right. So then another Phillies problem is Archie Bradley, who I've campaigned to be the closer. He was just placed on the 10-day disabled list with an oblique strain. Doesn't know when he'll return. So it's just it's another in the long line of Phillies off-season acquisitions that gets hurt. They have the worst luck. David Robertson, that happened, the same thing. It seems like they must need a better doctor doing physicals on these guys. They get fleeced.
And the other thing too with that is with these guys, you're right, a lot of them get hurt when you bring up David Robertson, who they brought over from the Yankees. This is going back 2 years. But why do they have to come in and lose a game before you figure out that they're hurt? I mean, you came in, when you talk about David Robertson, it was like one of those great off-season signings, someone to solidify the bullpen. They paid him an extraordinary amount of money. I think it was $10 million or more. And they got an inning out of him where he actually walked 4 people in the inning to cost the Phillies a win.
Yeah,
so, worth it.
I was at work during that. I remember listening to that, and I think it was Kevin Franston or Larry Anderson. They knew that day that he didn't have it. They said his velocity is off. He's throwing in the middle 80s. I said, oh no, they happened again. Whoever they get, just.
Right. And that was back with the situation where the Phillies had Gabe Kapler, who was managing the team.
Yeah.
And some of the things that we just saw here recently with Joe Girardi, you might think Gabe Kapler's managing the well, where Joe Girardi didn't realize how many mound visits there were and had to come out and take his starter out of the game. That was the Zach Wheeler game in Atlanta.
The blunders. So
it's frustrating.
I know.
But I guess the thing that we can look at, though, that might be the silver lining to this cloud is it's only the second week of baseball.
Yeah, I know. And if you just tuned in, it sounds like the Phillies are 1-9. They are 6-4. They are still in first place in the NL East somehow. The Mets sit at 3-3. Atlanta's 4-6. Miami 3-6, and the Nationals 2-5.
But we also see the writing on the wall. What's coming with this team?
What, the Phillies?
Yes. We can see the fact that even though they may be in first place, be over 500 now, they're not a 500 team throughout the whole season.
The only way that they compete is if it's similar to what the Eagles did. If it's a 500 division and everybody struggles, it's the only way they'll be in it.
Yeah, and I don't really see that happening in this division. I would still say that Atlanta is the best team in the division, but
Pitching.
If you look at the Mets, I mean, their starting pitching is not very good. But then you can say the same thing, I guess, for the Phillies. If the Mets start winning for DeGrom, though, that's going to help them out.
Well, yeah, it's the same thing for the Braves and the Mets. I think their whole rotation has one good starter, both teams. Max.
Exactly right. And that's why if you look at Nola and Wheeler, those guys need to step up and have career years because it's going to be something with Eflin and Moore and Anderson. I don't think Moore and Anderson are going to be there throughout the whole season. Hopefully Zach Eflin's good enough to stay there, but who knows who's going to fill in any better? Are they going to put Vince Velasquez in to start and call up Spencer Howard? So it's to me, it's all one and the same right now, unless someone can prove me wrong.
Oh.
And you're right, because when you watched the game Sunday night, that was on Sunday Night Baseball, the Phillies got down 3-0 early. And when I was looking at everything on Twitter and comments people were making, it's like, hey, Atlanta's throwing Drew Smiley, being down 3-0 is no problem. And it ended up being right.
Yeah. But how many times are you going to have Drew Smiley as the opponent?
Yeah, exactly right. How many times are you going to get Major League Baseball to completely miss a call
Right.
when Alec Bohm did not touch home plate and he's still called safe? They review it. He's still called safe.
It's happened twice to Atlanta this year. The other game was when Conforto stuck his arm out over the plate to walk in the winning run. He got hit on the forearm.
Yeah, but that was the Mets Marlins, right?
It was the Mets Marlins? I thought it was the Braves.
No, I think that was the Mets and the Marlins where that happened.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the Braves have not had good history with calls. I mean, and people were reminding me of a bad call in the playoffs that it was an infield fly rule that was called and went against Atlanta that caused them a problem. And if anybody can go out there and you look at it on YouTube, there's a game I believe the game was in Pittsburgh.
Uh-huh. And
if you see that play at home plate where the umpire calls the Pittsburgh runner safe and it costs Atlanta that game, that's a pretty interesting one to see.
Yeah, they need to get a better replay system. But interesting here, Boston Red Sox, they're 7-3. I said they'd come in last place. They've won 7 straight. So baseball's baseball. It's early in the year. These teams are going to win. You know, that's why it's 162 games. You know, the best teams the cream's going to come to the top. You know, look at the Cincinnati Reds. They scored 69 runs already in 10 games.
Yeah, they shut out the Giants last night.
Yeah.
And the Giants, I believe the Giants were on a 4 or 5 game winning streak, and they shut them out at home. I mean, Joey Votto hit an absolute bomb that went out into McCovey Cove last
I saw the guy in the kayak get it. That guy must have quite a collection. It's always the same guy coming up on the ball.
Yeah, no, you're right. It is funny if those guys go out there and sit in their kayak out there waiting to get that ball. Don't dive first.
I know.
Fish out.
They got a soaking wet baseball.
It's interesting turning on the Giants and just splashing in the dugout after those things and seeing Gabe Kapler, even though he was only the Phillies manager for 2 years. It just brings back some bad memories. It's just, well, the analytics say we should have brought Cole Irving into the game, and yeah, right.
Yeah, no, I heard Girardi say that the other day about that's what the sheet said about bringing I think it was Connor Brogdon into the game. I don't want to hear it. Joe Girardi's he's a guy from the '80s. He played it. There was none of that analytics then. I don't see how an old school manager like him could get sucked into that stuff. Manage your team on how you feel, not a computer.
Yeah, and I guess because it's one of those situations too where we ran into that situation a few games ago. I'm trying to think. I think it was a game against the Mets where Girardi was he was quote unquote resting a couple players, but then he put in Brad Miller. I guess Brad Miller was the leadoff hitter that game because he had good numbers against the opposing pitcher, and Phillies ended up losing.
Yep.
It's just like it's one of those things too. Well, yeah, he may have had good numbers in the past against this pitcher, but that doesn't mean it's going to continue. If you're Brad Miller, you're Brad Miller.
And Reese was actually hitting good. I mean, why would you take him? You cooled him off.
Yep, they did. He sat as well, and they had Andrew Knapp, the backup catcher, was catching. I guess he caught. I'm trying to think now. I don't think the Phillies have won a game where he's been the starting catcher because he caught game one and they lost that one.
No, I used to feel the way about Knapp that I felt about Quinn. Knapp's he's come around. I'm a little more confident with him at the plate than I was. That might be another option for the Phillies. You put Realmuto at first, Hoskins in left, and McCutchen in center.
Yeah, I know because Hoskins has played outfield. It's been a few years.
Yeah.
I don't know if they would trust McCutchen in center field. I guess they would say that he doesn't have enough speed to cover. But my goodness, I mean, they got to do something.
Hazley doesn't have enough speed to cover either.
No, and Roman Quinn doesn't have the ability to judge the ball properly all the time. So you're still stuck in it. Or if you want to look at that, I think what they need to do is just bring Odubel up or put Mickey Moniak out there for a couple weeks and see what he can do because we've already seen what these guys can do. And it's just essentially it's an outlet lineup and the Phillies, I think the Phillies 8-hole hitters now are maybe hitting 150.
Well, Hazley's hitting 211 and Quinn is hitting 059.
Yeah, so exactly. And having that batting in front of the pitcher, that's two automatic outs in the lineup, and that can kill a rally or can kill definitely an inning. And once that happens, that can just catch on. And I mean, once you have one inning like that, the pitcher can have a good inning and come back, and then when he's facing the top of the lineup, the same thing can happen where pitcher can get through that top of the lineup because he didn't have to struggle the inning before.
Exactly. Well, why put them back to back? Why not spread them out? Hit Hazley second or McQuinn second. You can't. You're exactly right. You can have bases loaded, nobody out, and he's out of the inning.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those things too, where to everybody out there listening, you might be listening in and thinking, "Well, my goodness, they're really down on the Phillies." Well, here's the reason why. That we're sitting here picking this apart because we've seen what's happened the last 8 or 9 seasons with this team, and we don't want to be sitting here on a Tuesday night in the middle of July and the Phillies be 11 games out of first place, and we decide, okay, we're going to have a half hour talking about NASCAR because the Phillies are turning into the Flyers, and instead of having a Flyers minute, it would just be a Phillies minute.
Yeah, I mean, we're this way because we're passionate fans and we want them to win. And we can't understand how they could keep going back to the well over and over and over again with Hector, Norris, Vince Velasquez. Enough's enough. It's going to be all year. Like you said, July, I'm going to have to sit here and say, oh, but Norris just blew another one.
Well, there might be your option for left field. Put Vince Velasquez in left field.
Yeah.
As long as it keeps him away from the pitching
I can't do it. Enough Phillies.
Well, hopefully I haven't checked the score. We'll see what Aaron Nola can do here.
It's nothing in the mid-second.
That Phillies offense hasn't hit yet.
No, they don't have a hit yet.
Wow.
We might have to do our JT Realmuto report too. He's hitting 313. We'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah.
I predict 250 by June.
Yeah, and that would be typical for him, and especially let's see how he does in big situations. I guess he pitched hit in the first game, and how'd that go?
Swing and a miss. He struck him out.
Well,
all right.
But you want to talk about something a little more
Yeah, we'll do a couple announcements from our sponsors. We'll take a commercial break, and then we'll do Sixers for the remainder of the show.
That sounds good to me.
Okay.
Yeah, to everybody out there who's listening, let me talk to you for a second here about Legacy Financial. They want everybody to know that, yes, last year was a tough year, but they want everybody to stay positive and to keep your faith and to continue working hard. And working hard should be your goal. If you're in a financial struggle at the moment and you need some help, or if you're doing well and you want to get to the next level, give them a call. Also, if you are looking for a new opportunity to work for yourself and earn money part-time, give Legacy Financial a call. The phone number for Legacy Financial is 510-928-2104. Call them, book yourself an appointment today. See if you can get a hold of AO or Andrew, or if not, somebody else will be there to take your call. Keep everything positive. It is their mission to make sure families build a financial legacy. Legacy Financial, call them today, 510-928-2104.
And I have a message from the Southern California Warriors semi-pro football team. The world of semi-pro sports is unlike any other sports organizations. Players play in hopes of so many different outcomes, whether it's playing to get film, to try out for professional teams, big-time colleges, or just playing to stay in shape. No matter what, all semi-pro players have one thing in common, and that's playing for the love of the game. The SoCal Warriors have been on a quest to earn titles and give players second chances since 2017. Whether you're in Southern California or anywhere in the world, give semi-pro sports a chance if you love your sport. You may get that second chance you've been waiting for as an athlete. Look them up on Twitter at SoCal Warriors or Instagram at Southern California_Warriors or on Facebook at Southern California Warriors. You're listening to Cash and Chris, Philly Sports Talk on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, hear me and hear me good. If you like sports, then you like the Wait a Minute Show. If you like comedy, then you like the Wait a Minute Show. If you like a different opinion coming from a different angle, then you like the Wait a Minute Show. So join me Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with your host, Jelani J.B. Bodie. And of course, my man Lopan on the WaitAMinuteShow.com. Ain't that right, Lopan?
Hey, what's up, sports fans? You're looking for a different type of sports talk show, something you haven't heard before? You gotta check out the BS3 Sports Show every other Saturday on 2 Live Stews Radio, 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern. Sports talk at its finest. Always have great guests, playing some good hip-hop. You don't want to miss it. Make sure to tune in to the BS3 Sports Show every other Saturday at 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern.
What's up, everybody? This is Taryn Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Green team! going on, football fans? This is me, your boy Larry B, inviting you to join myself, Colin Reynolds, Mike Pat, and John Felipe for one of the most electrifying football shows you have ever heard. 3 and Out, right here at IE Sports Radio. Recap of the week before, a preview of what's to come, and of course, 3 hardcore head-to-head prime-time face-offs each week. You don't want to miss it.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. We are coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back, everybody, to Phillies Sports Talk with Cash and Chris. All right, we talked Phillies. Next segment, we're going to do Sixers and what's becoming a worldwide phenomenon, our Flyers Minute.
Flyers Minute, yes, the Flyers Minute will be coming up. But I did want to mention something that we did overlook last week on the show, and we don't want everybody to think out there that Philadelphia is a place for losers, because Philly Sports Talk did win the NCAA bracket right here on IE Sports Radio.
That's right.
All that is sports.
That's right. We forgot to mention that our expert selection of Baylor,
correct,
to win the pool. I think Gonzaga was picked on like 50% of the brackets. Everybody just went with the chalk, but here at Philly Sports Talk, we knew better. We knew that the defense of Baylor would overwhelm the guards of the Gonzaga team that plays absolutely no one all season long. So
yeah, we were even surprised to see that they made it as far as they did. But
yeah, that's true. We didn't have them there.
And they struggled against the 11th seed in the game before.
Yeah, UCLA.
Yep.
We almost actually hit the score of the championship game. We said 86-70.
I think that's what the score was.
We said 78-70. We were only off by 8 points.
Yes, we had it close.
So next season we'll be charging. We'll be charging for that episode for our picks. I'm just kidding. We'll be a subscription service.
Well, on a more positive note, we're coming off a very, very impressive victory last night for Joel Embiid. And I guess Joel Embiid and the Sixers. Embiid carried them last night. Furkan Korkmaz did throw in 20 last night with a strong performance, and the Sixers beat the Dallas Mavericks last night. And it's always a good thing when a Philadelphia team can beat a Dallas team, even though it's the Mavericks.
Yeah, the Sixers had swept them. They swept Dallas this year. They did a great job on Luka. They shut him down. Ben Simmons, he just doesn't look comfortable playing against Ben and Matisse. Yeah, it's a shame they're not going to be able to play Dallas in the Eastern Conference playoffs, but
Yeah, correct. or Dallas in the NBA Finals.
Right.
You're right.
right.
Well, and Dallas too has gotten a guy that just recently signed, or I guess that was a trade they made for JJ Redick, added him to the team. But I guess he's injured.
He played last night.
Oh, did he come in? Did he come in some night?
He didn't look too good, but he played. He definitely didn't look like the same player. He apparently was upset that he didn't go to Brooklyn.
Yeah, I know, because he was saying that I guess he lives up that way, so he wanted to get someplace a little closer.
Yeah, he wanted to be near his family.
Well, I don't. Well, then, hey, why did you guys find in New Orleans? I mean, New Orleans to Brooklyn and Dallas to Brooklyn's almost the same trip.
Yeah, he talks both ways. I heard him say almost in the same interview that he'd love to be near his family, but he would also play basketball in Alaska if they wanted him.
Yeah, if they were going to pay him what the Pelicans paid him, sure, I'm sure he would.
Right. So
because he had an offer to stay with the Sixers, but he just thought, what's that do? The Pelicans, we're going to pay him more, so he took it.
Yeah, you can't blame the guy. I mean, what's he have? Maybe one more year left, so I guess he has to make all the money he can while he can. But yeah, he wasn't happy with the Pelicans. I think they had promised him that they were going to put him on let him have some input in the trade, and they didn't.
Yeah, there was something I had heard about that as well. But the thing too is when you mentioned the Pelicans, I mean, that was an ugly game that the Sixers played down there. I mean, they came off a big win, sweeping the series, going up to Boston, beating Boston in Boston, and looked like they were riding high. And it's like, okay, well, we got the Pelicans next, and they just could not make a basket against the Pelicans.
I mean, that happens in the NBA. You're not going to be on top of your game every 82 games, all 72 games this season. But
that was a good thing to see that bounce back last night in Dallas and do what they did. But the one thing that's interesting too, not necessarily related to Philly sports, but Zion Williamson seems to be coming on.
Yeah,
it seems like he's going to be what everybody thought he would be.
Yeah, he's only 20 years old.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yep. He already has the body of a 25, 26-year-old. He develops.
He's kind of in that same situation, I guess. I mean, Anthony Davis was a Pelican at one point too, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, playing in New Orleans where you don't really get not a big basketball market down there in New Orleans.
Not at all. Well, tomorrow night we have the matchup we've been waiting for, the Sixers-Brooklyn Nets, but not quite the full Brooklyn Nets. So I look for the Sixers to win the game, but also not, get the test that they probably need or, would like to have for the playoffs. They still haven't played that team. Nobody, the Nets haven't been together.
Yeah, and the Sixers really owed them because the last time that they played, both teams were not at full strength, but the Nets were really shorthanded the last time the Sixers played them, and they ended up beating the Sixers. So hopefully tomorrow night in Philadelphia, the Sixers will be able to hold court against them.
Yeah, they beat the Sixers without any of the big three.
Yeah, true.
So yeah,
and Cash, do you see it being the Sixers and the Nets in the Eastern Conference Finals?
I mean, yeah, I don't see it any other way, really. It's unless the seeding doesn't work that way.
Yeah, and it looks like now if everything can just stay the way that it's been going here for about the past month, the way it looks like the Sixers should be able to stay in the 1 seed, and the Nets will probably get the 2 seed.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we'll see how the matchups break down.
Yeah, they have a 3.5 game lead on the Bucks. So the Bucks have played 53 games, so they have 19 left. The Sixers have 18 left. The Nets have 18 left. So yeah, it's going to be tough for the Bucks to make up 3.5 games in 18 games. So it looks like it's going to be a 1-2, like you said.
Yeah, don't the Sixers have 2 games? I think they have the back-to-back games in Milwaukee.
Yes.
I think.
Yes, they do.
That's near the end of the season, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's with maybe 8 games left. I think they play them.
Yeah. I would just feel. I think more comfortable with the Sixers' path to the Eastern Conference Finals if they did not have to face the Bucks in the second round. But like you said, we'll have to wait and see how things shake out. It would just be one of those things to where I think the Bucks, even though I believe the Sixers would win that series, the Bucks could take them to a sixth or seventh game, and it would be a more difficult series than if they're playing somebody like the Miami Heat in the second round, who I think the Sixers can beat in 5.
Miami's been playing good. They've won 6 out of 7. I don't like that team either. I don't like to play that team. I mean, they can shoot. If they get hot from the outside, they can beat us. Maybe not in a series, but they can give us a good series. But,
yeah, and that's where, when you look at it, you're right. If they are hitting their outside shots, it will be difficult for the Sixers. But I don't think they have an answer for Embiid either.
No, nobody does.
No.
So here's the Sixers' next 5 games. Not as easy as we previously talked. This is like the tough stretch now. They got Brooklyn tomorrow night. Then they got the Clippers Friday night. That's a tough game. Then they got Golden State Monday, Phoenix Wednesday, and the Bucks Thursday. That's 5 playoff teams in a row.
It is, and that Golden State team is I guess they're right now in the 9 slot out west, so they're hanging on to a playoff spot.
Yeah.
And they're definitely going to need a victory. I think New Orleans is close to them out there as well, so they're going to need to keep pace, and they can give the Sixers some trouble.
Yeah, New Orleans is 1 game behind Golden State. Golden State's in the 10. They're percentage points behind San Antonio, who Popovich once again has done a great job with a team with limited talent. He has them in a playoff spot. That's amazing. That team really, they're not that good. They're 12-17 at home, 14-9 on the road. A young team. It is amazing.
And the Sixers gave them the worst beating in the history of the franchise.
Right.
But hey, like you said, in the NBA, it is a players' league. But having a coach that knows what's going on and how to put those players in the right positions at times can definitely be a benefit. And I think we've seen that this year with Doc Rivers. I see a lot of stuff on social media and on Twitter where people don't like some of the rotations that Doc Rivers does occasionally, where he'll have out on the floor five guys, and you're looking around like, well, okay, they're mostly bench players. Who's going to score out here? But if you look at the job that he's done this year, it's been outstanding. And if Brett Brown was still the Sixers coach, we'd be looking at the Sixers as a 5 or 6 seed right now.
I agree completely. He's good for 5 losses all by himself, Brett Brown. Sixers will probably be about 32-22, probably the 4 seed.
Yeah, and the one thing that we really don't talk too much about, and at least we haven't touched on yet, we haven't touched on Ben Simmons. And when we hear Doc Rivers talk about Ben Simmons, he says he's not concerned that Ben Simmons is not scoring a lot. And I don't know. I wish Ben would be able to score more and would be more aggressive and could make those inside shots. I mean, we talked last week about the fact that he's shooting from the paint, he's down to 45%. But, hey, if he's out there playing tough defense, getting a few rebounds, and definitely getting assists, and the Sixers are winning, I'm all good with that.
Yeah, I mean, he's averaging about 15 points, 7.7 rebounds, 7.1 assists. I'd like to see that the assist a little higher from a point guard, especially one that can pass as well as he can.
Well, and especially the fact that with the playoffs coming up here rapidly, it's a situation to where when Embiid's a double, but when Embiid gets doubled as he tends to do and how teams play him, it'd be just better if you had that option to get that ball to Ben, knowing that Ben could then score the ball. But right now, hey, like I said, if the Sixers are winning, we're not going to complain about anybody.
No. But I feel it coming, though. I feel the playoffs coming and Ben Simmons disappearing and the same complaints coming. Trade him, get rid of him. It's enough of him. I think it's going to be the same thing. He's not going to shoot the ball. You're going to come up against a team that's going to be able to put up a wall, play 5-on-4, basically. It's going to come down to Danny Green and Seth Curry hitting 3-pointers, I think. It's going to be their success. Or lack of.
Well, and another thing, too, is I hope that in the playoffs, Shake Milton doesn't disappear as well. Because, I mean, he's definitely a valuable piece coming off that bench.
Well, Do you think that the acquisition of George Hill is going to limit Shake in the playoffs?
Well, see, I don't. If Shake is still doing what he's been doing recently, I don't see why it should. But I don't know. That's going to be a call for Doc Rivers, and hopefully he pushes the right button there between those two.
Yeah, I haven't really heard many of Doc's opinions on George Hill. I don't even think he knows because he hasn't seen him play.
Right.
So.
Right, and that's the thing too. It's one of those where I guess the Sixers, in picking him up, they got themselves somebody who, late in games, or when they got to take Ben Simmons out of the game, they have someone else in there who can be a ball handler.
Yeah, I mean he's a good. He can handle the ball. He can hit an open three. He's a really good foul shooter. I don't know. I'm waiting to see him. I never actually watched enough of him, his game close enough to know George Hill. He's played in the Western Conference most of his career. I don't know.
Hopefully his thumb's fine.
You would think. I mean, he had the surgery. It should have healed, but who knows?
It's funny whenever you mention George Hill, the only thing that flashes back into my mind is Tyrone Hill.
Tyrone Hill.
Back in the Iverson.
I know. Out of Xavier.
Yeah, he was a guy who, he wasn't too much on for scoring, but my goodness, he could rebound when you needed it.
Yeah, that's what he was. He was a 10, 12 point a game, but he could get you 10 rebounds. Good old Skeletor. They used to call him Skeletor.
Yes, he did. Yeah, back that's some good memories there. That flashback with those Iverson teams, Larry Brown and George Lynch and Aaron McKee and Tyrone Hill,
Eric Snow.
Yep.
Yeah, it was must-see TV. It really was. You knew watching him that you were watching a future Hall of Famer.
Yes, you did, and it was amazing. And you had mentioned earlier just when we were in the break room, we tried to throw out there the segment, the Philly flashback. You talked about the time in Game 1 against the Lakers in the finals when Allen Iverson hit that corner shot and then stepped over Tyronn Lue. That's a Philadelphia sports memory that's going to last forever.
Yeah, and the Sixers almost hired Tyronn Lue to be their coach, and I think they were going to until Doc Rivers became available.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they were going to also.
Yeah, I said, are they going to reenact the step over with the coach on the side?
Yeah, but me being a typical Philadelphia sports fan, that's one of the greatest Sixers moments ever. But then they lost the next 4 games.
Yeah, the Kobe and Shaq.
Yeah.
Just our luck. We had to play. Yeah, just like we were saying last week in the '90s, the Flyers had to play the juggernaut Red Wings. The Phillies had to play a dynasty Blue Jays team. The Sixers had to play a all-time great team in the Lakers.
Yeah. It just seemed that what you just said is exactly true. When you went up against them and you looked at who those Phillies teams lost to in the finals, I mean, yeah, they were definitely the underdogs.
Yeah. We got a Phillies update. Bottom of the third, 0-0. Another Aaron Nola 0-0 game. There's been a lot of them over the years.
Right now, Aaron Nola has given up a hit and a walk with 2 outs in the bottom of the third. So we'll see if he can get out of this inning without giving up a run.
And I'm going to run down the Phillies' hits in this game.
That shouldn't take long.
There we go. That was the Phillies' hits for the game. They're getting no hit after 3. I don't know. Have they had any base runners? Let me see. Nope, not 9 up, 9 down.
Yeah, are the Mets still in the ground tonight?
No, Marcus Stroman. Yeah.
Oh my!
A perfect game into the 4th.
Yeah, I knew they weren't throwing the ground tonight, but it has turned into it.
Yep. Down in Atlanta, Miami's leading Atlanta 8-6 in the 4th. 14 runs in that game. 0 in the Phillies.
Yeah, and Miami beat them last night in extra innings. They beat the Braves. In extra innings last night. I mean, that was only for, I guess that was Miami's 3rd win of the year.
I just had the standings up, so I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, but you mentioned though when you talked about the Flyers and you talked about that the 90s when they had Eric Lindros. And the Flyers, I guess we can do our Flyers minute here. The Flyers had a trade yesterday. They moved Michael Raffle to the Washington Capitals. And the Flyers are currently losing 5-1 to the Washington Capitals at the end of 2. So I'll just wrap up the Flyers minute by saying the Philadelphia Flyers are turning into the Buffalo Sabres quickly, and the Buffalo Sabres seem to have a better future than the Flyers.
They do. So last week or the week before, we mentioned that they released good old Ghost. I put the game on the other night. He's playing for the Flyers.
Yeah, he's come back and played very well.
He's a ghost.
But it's amazing too. I mean, you look at the Flyers; they can release people and say, "Now, nobody in the league wanted him."
Well, how did they get him back?
I guess you just said. I guess since no one picked him up, they were able to just bring him back.
What's the point of releasing him?
Yeah.
What they say? We changed our mind. Come on back.
Well, it kind of reminded me of a situation. I mean, this is going way back. I don't know if you remember this guy's name or not, but I believe it was in the 80s. The Phillies had made a trade with the Toronto Blue Jays, and the Phillies traded Rob Ducey to the Toronto Blue Jays for a player to be named later. And a couple weeks later, that player to be named was Rob Ducey. He was back to the Phillies.
Yeah, a lot of times in that player to be named later stuff, there's a list of players that we don't really know. Like, it's kept between the teams, and they get to choose from maybe 10 players. I remember that happened with the Phillies with an Astros trade. That they made a trade, and a player to be named later was a power hitter. Name's not coming to me, but the Phillies forgot to protect them. And the Astros, I think
that's not shocking.
It might have been Marwin Gonzalez that I think that's who it was. It was Marwin Gonzalez. The Phillies didn't protect them, and he ended up playing for the Astros in a World Series team.
Shocking.
Yeah, another shocking moment from Philadelphia sports.
Yeah, and that there, with it being this time of year, we really haven't touched that much on the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, the draft is coming up, but anything I'm hearing right now about what's going on internally with the Eagles, I haven't heard anything positive.
No, it seems that Howie Roseman's a cancer within the system. You don't hear it. Players don't like him. Coaches don't like him. The only guy that likes him is the guy that owns the team, Jeffrey Lurie.
And unfortunately, that's all that matters.
That's all that matters, yeah.
And what the problem is, too, with that situation, when you look at the NFL, I mean, the Eagles, essentially, they have a chance of telling, because no matter what, teams are going to go to the game, they're going to sell out every home game.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how bad they get to be. If they turn into that 0-16 Lions team, the fans are going to still be there.
Yeah, they have 60,000 person waiting list to get season tickets.
Yep.
So they don't have to worry one bit about that.
No, it's not like situations where when the Sixers were going through the process, you'd see a half-empty building. The same thing, too, when the Flyers weren't playing well, ticket sales were down. And when the Phillies were playing really bad, like, you could go there and, my goodness, you could get a general admission seat moved down front.
Yeah, those were the days. We used to walk around and wait. We used to walk around and wait till we saw a section with no usher and just sneak down.
Well, I was one time, I was out in Cincinnati. It was in September. Cincinnati was way out there when they were playing the Braves, who were a playoff team. And I came in, and actually it was interesting. We gave our tickets to an usher, and he said, "Oh, just follow me, guys." They took us right down behind the first base, right above the first base dugout. He's like, I know who has these tickets. They won't be here today. Help yourself.
That's great.
But those same things, that's why we were talking like we did here at the beginning, where we're so down on these negative things we're seeing with the Phillies, because we don't want to see the Phillies go back to that kind of a situation.
Right. And I mean, luckily we did see a World Series in 2008. I mean, without that, I mean, I didn't see 1980.
No, I was only 8 in 1980, so I kind of knew what was going on. I was more aware and paying attention more in 1983 when the Phillies got there to the World Series and lost to the Baltimore Orioles, and also that year that year did happen to be the last time the Sixers won an NBA championship when the Sixers defeated the Lakers in 4 games.
I was only 5 years old in '83, so I have not seen the Sixers win a title. And that would probably, I don't know if I would enjoy that more than I did the Eagles, but probably just as much.
Yeah, and when you look back, though, it's amazing to think that in 1980, all 4 teams were in the finals. Now, only the Phillies ended up winning, but still, that would be something I'd like to experience that.
Yeah, me too.
So we would definitely be down on the teams that didn't win in the finals. Still.
Yeah, that would definitely make for some interesting talk. What was I going to say? Yeah, the Eagles, they played the Raiders.
Yes.
A wild card team, correct? 8-8.
I believe so. That was Jim Plunkett.
Jim Plunkett, yeah.
Yeah.
John Madden coached that team.
Yeah, I think that Super Bowl was over early because I think Plunkett hit a long pass early in the game, and the Eagles just never recovered from it.
No.
I guess, Jaworski was quarterback of the Eagles that year.
Yeah, Jaworski, Dick Vermeil was the coach. Game was down in New Orleans.
That's when that was coming off the great victory over the Cowboys at Veterans Stadium.
Yeah, the Wilbert Montgomery 80-yard touchdown run.
Yep, I still remember all the times just seeing that in Eagles highlights when he flashed back. Yeah, I don't remember if last week if we had actually talked about Veterans Stadium, because Veterans Stadium, I guess last week was the 50th anniversary of when it opened.
Yeah, it was in 1971, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my childhood, Veterans Stadium. Nothing like going to a game for $1 and basically having your free run of the stadium. Like you said, there was times where we'd pay $1 and we'd be sitting on top of the dugout for the national anthem. It was so empty.
Yeah.
But it was still, we enjoyed it. It was a great night to just be out in the open with the air and smell the hot dogs and the bathrooms.
Well, let me tell you something. The vet definitely had a smell all to its own.
Yes, it did.
Everybody out there, you can just try to imagine what that was between the fact that they had between the cigarette smoke, the cigar smoke, stuff coming out of the bathrooms, the vendors. Yeah, but it was the vet. It was Philadelphia, and everybody else hated it. We loved it because it was Philadelphia.
Yeah, 1993 was amazing. Just going to those games, and as the season went on, you had 50,000, 55,000, 60,000 fans. It was something else. It's something we'll never see here again because they build these little small ballparks nowadays. For the new age people, to sell cheesesteaks in center field instead of putting seats there, but.
Right.
It's something you'll never see. It was a nice childhood, going to Veterans Stadium. Really
yeah,
was.
It was. I guess Veterans Stadium wasn't the only stadium back then that had that AstroTurf, but that was always an interesting way to play baseball on AstroTurf. I mean, of course, you did get the true hops, but the ball moved a lot faster.
Yeah. I was thinking of that with Mike Schmidt. Like, how many errors you think he avoided by playing on a rug?
Right.
And Scott Rowland didn't like it, if I recall, right? He didn't like the turf.
Scott Rowland didn't like anything.
Yeah, he wanted to play in St. Louis.
Scott Rowland didn't even like Scott Rowland Day. It was Scott Rowland Day. He didn't play.
I know. I was there.
only in Philadelphia does that happen.
Yep.
And then I think he came back as a Cardinal, I believe it was. And they were honoring Harry Callis that day, and he came out of the dugout, and the fans let him have it.
Yeah. He's a borderline Hall of Famer, though, Scott Rowland.
Yeah, he is. And I guess he played Toronto a little bit. I think a little bit in Cincinnati as well, if I remember.
Yep, you're right.
Yeah.
I don't have
He was there. He was there during those years where there was, very, very, very deep years for the Phillies.
Yeah, I mean, you want to hear his stat? I thought he had around 2,400. He ended with 2,077 hits, 316 home runs. He actually made the All-Star team at age 35 and 36. I know, with 20 home runs the one season, only 5 the next. He just got the votes based on his name.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was back around the time too. I think Scott Rowland was one of the top Phillies back then, and Ed Wade they drafted. I remember J.D. Drew, I think. Yeah, and then he won sign for the Phillies. He said, "I'm not playing there."
Yep. 8 Gold Gloves he won.
Scott Rowland was a good defensive third baseman.
Yeah. Came up at age 21, played till he was 37.
Yeah. Nice career.
Yeah, we didn't plan on doing that tonight. Scott Rowland tribute night here on Philly Sports Talk.
Yeah, anyway.
What about how long in?
A little over an hour, I think.
Yeah, we're 55 minutes. We started late, remember?
Yeah, we did. You're right.
Yeah.
You want to take another commercial break and then just come back and wrap it up with a little bit of NASCAR?
Yeah, I could do a quick commercial and then come right back.
Okay, we'll see you back here on IE Sports Radio. You are listening to Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris. IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great. Here to give you what you want. Here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. We're coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back to our final segment. We're going to do a NASCAR segment here. as we do every week on Philly Sports Talk. And last week, our picks, we picked Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin, and neither of them won. Martin Truex won his second race in a row at Martinsville to move into second in the standings behind Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, that Saturday night race got some weather and had to be pushed back some. But interesting NASCAR race, but you're right. Martin Truex was able to hold on. It looked like Denny had it, but obviously he didn't. And I'm not picking him to win at Richmond this week.
Uh-oh, breaking news. So that means he's going to win.
It could be.
Yeah, the top fives: Denny Hamlin, 379 points. Martin Truex second with 303. Joey Logano third, 302, right behind him. Kyle Larson having a nice bounce back season, 280, and Ryan Blaney fifth with 272.
Yeah, and I'm going to go with Joey Logano to win this week
at Richmond.
Yes.
I'm going to go with Chase Elliott. He looked really strong at the end. I think he doesn't have any wins this year. I look for him to get on the winning track this week.
It's not a bad pick.
Yeah, he's seventh in the standings. I think he's going to move up. William Byron sits at sixth, a surprise top tenner.
Yeah, and you're right. And there's a few names in there in the top 10 that are a little bit of a surprise. And it's a surprise, even though the season is as long as it is. It's a surprise that there hasn't been some of the guys who you usually see winning races haven't won yet. No. And of course, Denny Hamlin being one of them.
And Harvick also. Last year it was Harvick and Hamlin. It seems like they alternated each week. This year neither's won.
Yeah, you're right.
I do a fantasy lineup every week on DraftKings, and a guy that I'm starting to pick is Christopher Bell. He's been running really good. He's up in the top 10 week after week. He's 10th in the standings, and he has a win.
Yeah, he does. And like I said, it's a different NASCAR this year. And hopefully that's the thing that's going to be good, and it's going to be something that's going to keep fans interested. I don't know if it's one of those things where traditional NASCAR fans are looking for those top guys to always win, or if they like it when it's spread through. But I like it much better this way. Of course, I like it when Denny was winning often, but seeing other guys win and stuff like that, I mean, it's just better for the sport.
Yeah, he's still your leader. I mean, he doesn't necessarily have to win to be the champion, which is kind of crazy.
No. Yeah, you're right.
It all comes down to that final race, and where's it going to be? Phoenix this year?
I believe it is.
I almost said Homestead. I was so used to it being in Homestead.
Oh, and just some breaking news right now in the Phillies game. They challenged to play at first base, and this call went against the Phillies, unlike what happened Sunday night.
That's the second time today that the call's gone against the Phillies in a review. Roman Quinn.
Yeah, with getting, we talked about that with him getting hit by a pitch. Well, maybe the manager needs to stop challenging these things.
Yeah, really. Don't they have a guy upstairs telling them when to challenge and when to not challenge, like the football?
Right. This was just a bang play at base.
Right. So you think that the guy in the upstairs would look at it and say, "Oh, he's out, not challenging."
Yeah, you would think, but it is the Phillies, so you never know.
Yeah, they probably don't have a replay guy upstairs. They'll have to get one in a trade.
Yeah, and sign to a long-term deal. Well, no, he'll end up being hurt.
Yeah, he'll get. I don't want to say he'll have eye trouble, but.
The replay guys come down with laryngitis. That was back in those days with Rich Kotite. He couldn't go for two or call the play because there was water on the chart.
On the chart, yeah.
Yeah, I think Andy Reid had that problem too.
Yeah, and then they laminated it to fix everything. All right. Well.
Yes, this has been a fun show. I like wrapping it up with a little bit of NASCAR talk.
I do too.
And before we let everybody go here tonight, I just want to mention one more time to everybody, Legacy Financial. They want everybody to know that they understand that last year was a tough year. They want everybody to stay positive, keep your faith, and continue working hard and continue working towards your goals. And if you're in a financial struggle at the moment and you need some help, or if you're doing well and you want to get to the next level, give them a call. Also, if you are looking for an opportunity to work for yourself and earn money part-time, give Legacy Financial a call. Call AO at 510-928-2104 and book an appointment today. You can book an appointment with AO or Andrew or somebody else at Legacy Financial. They are there helping people on a mission and helping families build a legacy. Give them a call today, 510-928-2104, Legacy Financial.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll see you next.
Guys.
We'll see you next week.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.